So I'm saying in terms of development and potential, unfortunately, the East has been, as a overall region, has been on the the less prosperous sides or the less developed sides for the South, the North, and the West have really taken over. And whenever any investor has ever come to India, obviously these have been his priority markets. West and Mumbai for a particular region, South because of the prosperity of IT and everything, and then North being because it's closer to Delhi and the capital, and Gurgaon, being there. So it's a very great thing that in Bengal, in the last couple of years, we've seen good transactions happening, national players coming in. So what happens once national players start coming in, government also starts feeling, this is a serious industry. When lands are being auctioned, there are people who are taking land at 400-500 crores. I think Phoenix picked one land, Godrej picked another land. And, I'm talking to you both in my context as the MD of Primarc and the president of CREDAI.
That's right.
So I'm combining the roles and I'm talking to you. And also recently Blackstone, so this I think is one of the, Blackstone had invested in a hotel 10-15 years back, Since that, this is Blackstone's first transaction in 8-10 years in the whole of Eastern India is what I believe. We recently brought the DLF asset. There's another DLF asset which another company is buying. So in the last 2-3 years, the market is maturing. First time you're seeing transactions of 400-500 crores happening in the market and upwards 400-500, 800, 1,000, 2,000 happening, which is a very, very good sign for the market. I think what will this do? This will wake up the government also, or make them realize the potential of the sector. This is all foreign investment coming in. Also, what happens if one does an investment, the others follows. So today Blackstone has done a shopping mall. Tomorrow they might do an IT park, and there might be other PE and equity players coming in. So this frees capital for local entrepreneurs who have held up assets. They'll get an opportunity to liquidate, monetize. They will also get motivated to create more assets and do. So I think this will be a big, big game changer. This will make the government understand. They will more players will come in. Existing players will have liquidity options, creating capital for them, which they can then focus on other investors. So I think it's a good development.
Fantastic. So this was Mr. Sidharth Pansari, Director Primarc Group and President for CREDAI Bengal. He was just giving us, what the latest big deals and transactions that have happened in the region. And as he said, that these are the hallmark of what's going to happen now, with others following the footprints of many major investors now who are coming into West Bengal.
Sure.
Now, for any industry to grow, whether it is real estate or any other industry, government support is something which is always looked upon. So, you representing the real estate industry of West Bengal, what do you think should be the policy initiatives from the state government for this sector?
So let me first take a step back and say what are the things that the government has done, which is already helping the industry. So I think the government of West Bengal has really worked a lot on ease of doing business as far as the sanctioning process is concerned, where a lot of sanctioning, which used to take, say, 12 months, has come down to 2-3 months. A lot of that has got automated, digitized, all virtually happening over the internet. You apply everything happening online. So a lot of services, and I can say even interacting with my peers in Bombay and otherwise, a lot of these services are actually the best in class in the country in terms of online sanctions and everything. However, that said, the industry is an evolving industry. There is faster decision to be taken. So one other thing, I think overall the land mechanism in Calcutta and Bengal, because of it, getting urban land ceiling has been a big detrimental way to streamline operations. Wherein we still are bound by that 7 kattha rule where you can't buy urban land more than 7 kattha. So I think more digitization of land records, upgradation of keeping the concerns of the government, if we can create an enabling policy wherein the intent of the government was nobody holds land, but if the government starts thinking of developers as as a middleman or as a facilitator, like a tailor. It is somebody else's cloth. We are stitching it in a particular manner and distributing it to 10 people. So if the government looks at that role where we are not actually holding land because we don't even have the capital to hold land, it's largely we are taking the land from, say, Sapna, making a building and selling to 500 Sapnas. So that's what we are doing. So I think urban land ceiling, some of the factory land things. So I think if the land part gets sorted more, I think it will bring a lot of employment, which I think the government needs. And it also stabilize the prices of housing.
Right.
which because the supply will be far better.
Right. Fantastic. I think that land record is, I think, pain point for developers across the country. Name any state. Digitization
So I
is
would
happening.
not only no digitization to a fair extent has happened. I would say from a land control perspective,
Yeah.
if certain enabling provisions can be brought in terms of
Right.
digitization, we are good, but in terms
Correct.
of more enabling to make land easier to invest, to create a better pool, to go back and look at some of the laws of 1960 or 1970 is what I am
Right.
proposing.
Yeah. That does make sense. We are in 2025 now. So, you are also the youngest president of CREDAI Bengal, I believe.
Till
And
now, yeah.
okay, fantastic. And in terms of real estate, also now we are seeing a lot of new asset classes coming in. Whether it is data centers, warehousing, retail, IT parks, residential, commercial has been the traditional asset classes, but now these asset classes are coming up in a big way. What is the situation in West Bengal? How these asset classes, what is the growth
So
potential of
let's
these?
take each asset by each asset. Say, like you spoke about retail. So retail is very consumer based and consumption based. Wherever there is population, retail will exist based on the kind of population that exists. So in West Bengal, there are three large urban areas, Calcutta being one, Durgapur, Asansol being another, and Siliguri being other. So these areas have already seen a good penetration of retail. Like I also mentioned, National Plaza coming in. Phoenix is making a mall in Alipur. So I'm saying more and more national players coming in will also open up larger investment opportunities and growth of these assets. IT park, industrial and warehousing, I think industrial and warehousing is really going to grow to a very, very large extent. Because one of the advantages is that Calcutta and Bengal is a hub for Eastern India. And also, going up internationally borders of China, Bangladesh, Nepal. So it's a big transit point. It's a epicenter of 10 states, 7 northeastern states, Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha, Calcutta. So it's a big hub for these 10, 12 states. So a lot of the logistics, a lot of the movement to Bangladesh, Nepal happens through Calcutta. So I really, really think, it will really, really grow the demand for logistics and everything, logistics and infrastructure. Also, I really feel there'll be going to be big demand for IT and IT spaces because of the GCC concept. So earlier, what was happening, a large IT player like, for example, a Samsung took 5 lakh square feet in Bangalore. Now they also want to have to make it easier. There was a work from home. Now the work from home has gone to work from office. But to make it simple, a lot of them are saying, let's build a center in Calcutta. Let's build a center in Ranchi, so that our employees don't need to travel. So also what is happening, an employee of Ranchi, if you bring him to Bangalore, his cost is much higher. So, but if a Ranchi resource stays in Ranchi, the cost is much. So a lot of these global capability centers are getting built in. And I really see a very, very big demand coming from the GCCs in the eastern part of the country. And I'm talking not only for Calcutta per se, I can tell you, it will also affect smaller markets like a Jharkhand, like a Bihar, where people would want to open these IT and capability centers in the smaller towns as well.
Right. In fact, we had Mr. Debashish Sen, a known figure in West Bengal. He was there, and he did spoke about that. West Bengal, we have huge talent, and they should look at outside India. That's what he mentioned. Like places like Vietnam and Korea, where, like you said, they need talent. And they can, whether it is startups, whether it is technology, West Bengal has the talent and the capability to cater to these people. Do you think we can, we can have those kind of, because as you said, West Bengal is the entry for these countries. Do you think these kind of initiatives between the West Bengal state and probably the outside countries can create a huge hub for real estate as well as economy growth? Employment,
I'll tell you,
etc.
real estate is a consumption-led story. So as far as housing is concerned, wherever people want to stay, there will be housing. And that I don't think will get centralized only for Calcutta. It will happen for everywhere within the state, outside in different states as well. IT, but as when it comes to logistics and warehousing, it is a question of the efficiency of logistics being a central point. So there I really feel that Calcutta and Bengal has a lot of growth potential and it will really, really grow. For IT and GCC, I think really, there was a time when the IT was not taking off, but I really see IT really taking off. What rentals used to be 30, 32 rupees have now gone up to 45 rupees in a year or so. So I really see IT and GCC really taking off because of a change in national and international strategy. Also, all the work from home is ending. So the concept where TCS said a guy in Calcutta, you do work from home. They're now saying, and they left office spaces. I don't know, single out everybody, left office spaces or leaving or not taking. Now
Right.
everybody is saying you come back to office, otherwise we fire you. Because they realize there's no long-term efficiency with an employee working from home, apart from select positions and whatever that structure is. So everybody is needing office spaces again. And a lot of GCC global capability centers are getting built in India. And they're getting decentralized as well. So that I think will create a lot of employment opportunities. I think Calcutta should be a good hub for that.
Okay, fantastic. And within all this scenario, even Primark is in a lot of these other segments, real estate segments. How are you looking at your company's growth, expansion plan geographically, or probably in other verticals? How are you looking at that?
So we've always wanted to do a combination of both commercial and housing. As far as commercial is concerned, we already have around 2 million square feet of retail and IT put together, the tech park at Rajarat and the mall at Durgapur. We are also expanding to Bhopal, where we are building a large shopping mall out of Bhopal. So we want to focus on both commercial annuity assets and the residential assets. These are two areas we want to keep our core focus. And within the residential, we want to establish ourselves as a key player in the luxury segment. So that is what we are focusing on. So it's going to be a combination of luxury and it's going to be a combination of middle class value houses.
Okay, okay. And in terms of other asset classes, are you looking at other asset classes also, increasing your footprint there?
So warehousing is something that we don't know and we're not considering for the time being. Our focus is going to largely be retail, IT, and residential.
Fantastic.
Hotels or something is not that we are considering at the moment.
Right, right. Yeah, once you specialize in something, I think the focus should be there so that you can do, better in those
Absolutely.
segments. Right. Any message for other, your peers and probably the younger generation which is coming in real estate? Because we see, should the West Bengal developers have, like you have gone out of the state in other cities and other states? Do you think that's the way forward for other developers also of the region?
So honestly, like you said, I'm the youngest, but so I don't want to give any gyan. I think I have a lot to learn. My own journey is incomplete and it's always evolving. So I am not here to give any gyan or needs of advice, especially to my elder or the young. I think they see each person's journey, each person's situation, each company's situation focus is very different. So I don't know. My only learning that I could share a couple of them is just, this is a patience game. So if you are here, you should be here for the long run. A lot of time we think sanctions will come in a year. We'll start a project in 2 years or 1 year. So a lot of times those doesn't happen. So you have to be patient. You have to be persistent and plan your finances accordingly because, cash flows define this business of cash flows eventually in a high risk business. So I think patience, persistence, and getting your numbers right, and don't get very highly leveraged. Have an exigent plan is all that I would want to say. But again, this is totally no gyan to my seniors. I have the highest level of respect for them.
Right. So, patience, persistence, and financial planning, the three success mantras from Mr. Sidharth Pansari that we have here. Before we conclude this, very crisp session, conversation with Mr. Pansari, one thing that I would definitely would want to ask you is, what according to you is the USP of West Bengal? You have seen other cities, you have seen the real estate growth in other cities. What is the USP of West Bengal?
So I think Calcutta, by nature, the local, the crowd, the Bengalis, we are the cultural capital of the country. That is, or the intellectual capital, as it is said. So I think Calcutta brings across a very good warmth, and it's a very good place to stay. People meet each other even if they don't have work. They have good addas. Bengalis love their food, and they can chat 1 hour on the difference between this tea and that tea. So there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of culture, and more importantly, there's a lot of warmth. So that warmth actually brings the community together. So even when we are developers, half of us, we compete with each another, but half the time we are also having a drink with one another. So I think that warmth that people bring in is something very, very, and the nature of conversations or intent is not always transactional. It is more about spending time with each other, enjoying, so that I think is somewhere where Calcutta really stands out. And that warmth and that hospitality and that social fabric is very difficult to replicate anywhere in the country.
That's it. That is undisputable intellectual capital of the country. Yes, definitely, that's West Bengal. The cultural capital of the country, West Bengal, that is definitely there. And as Mr. Pansari said, we have ourselves felt that, the warmth and, as you said, it's not always transactional. People meet each other. The relationship building, as you said, it's not always business, but you are in the same, all in the same industry, but the relationship, and I think that's also figures in the real estate growth there, because everyone is working together for the development of real estate. Any parting words that you have for us before we conclude this session? How do you see the outlook of real estate of West Bengal? How do you see West Bengal in coming years in the map of India?
I've always been a very positive and a bullish person, so that's the wrong. So if you ask me, even in the worst, I'm always very positive and always see a silver lining elsewhere. I just end by saying, keep up the good work which you guys keep doing. And I know it's very difficult to pull off these publications and these events, and I really applaud
We just completed 20 years. So
that's what I'm saying. So it's a great job that you do. It's a lot of these things that actually bring in the industry together. It also creates a community feeling where actually you go, you meet 20 people, you exchange notes. So these events also keep doing the good work, and all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Pansari. And that was Mr.
Bye.
Pansari at Realty Plus Real Talk series with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you.